Hello everyone, Chris here, and this is a quick review of some of the rockets in my collection. I am a classic rocketeer, and there are a lot of the rockets out there that I enjoyed building when I was younger, and I'm either trying to collect some of those older rockets or building clones of them as well. And yesterday, while I was doing a quick review of the Skyrider, I mentioned how the Challenger 1 rocket was kind of the ubiquitous go-to rocket whenever Estes, I guess, wanted to pad their product line. As you can see right here, I have the Star Trek rocket and the Star Wars proton torpedo rocket. Now, back in '75, Estes came out with, of course, the Enterprise model rocket and the Klingon cruiser model rocket, and I guess they just again wanted to pad their line, and they threw out this Star Trek generic rocket. Came with a rocket launch pad, basically which was a lantern battery that you just put a little cap on with the two-piece launch rod and a tiny little blast deflector plate. The exact same design, which was reproduced for the I guess it was 77, 78 proton torpedo. Again, they had a product line. They had a couple X-Wing fighter models and a TIE fighter model out there, and they went ahead with the proton torpedo as well, using the same exact design. Now, these are a couple kits I have. They're actually unbuilt, missing a few pieces here and there, but I want to go ahead and show these to you. They're in great condition. Still in the bag, and you can see it came with a plastic fin unit, launch controller, nose cone, two-piece nose cone, and a cap for a lantern battery there. Simple body tube. Used standard size engines, and yes, these are 37-year-old rocket engines here, and you can see recovery wadding. The parts kit includes a tiny little blast deflector plate, and here is the old style safety key in there. I haven't opened this yet, as far as the bags inside of the bag here, or the box. I am missing the body tube wrap, which basically was a peel and stick sticker that you would just wrap around the body tube with all the designs and artwork on it, as well as a couple fin stickers, as you can see. Now, I believe the original design for this was actually a purple rocket, and when they went into production, they went ahead with the yellow. Now, the Star Wars proton torpedo is not much different. This one's also missing the body wrap as well, but it's basically the exact same rocket as that one. This one's in black, and it has all the pieces here as well. Yes, more old engines. Here's that deflector plate. This one wasn't in a bag. Body tube, and the instructions. Same exact instructions as the other one. Everything pretty much consistent here. Now, this same design was used over and over again for many different model rockets. Actually, same size and everything. I recall the Cadet was one of those rockets as well. In fact, here is another part of my collection. When the Dune movie came out, from the Frank Herbert novel. This was, when did this come out? I believe maybe in the, what was it, the 80s or so? I guess I should have, 1984, yeah. And this is the Dune. It's called the Gill Highliner. And I guess they were hurting for ideas, so they said, okay, well, hey, we've got this plan. The only time they ever had to make any changes with this was with plastic color and the decals for it. So this one is actually an unopened kit, but you can see the plastic wrap is just deteriorating on this. So these are the rockets I have in my collection. Now, when it comes to cloning these, obviously it is very simple, a very simple task. And what I like to do when I clone these is I basically get this. This is the Estes Mongoose. What's cool about this is it's a two-stage rocket. Now I use this, these parts over and over again for repairs, you know, just because it comes with all the extra parts. So I end up grabbing a few of these again and again. So here right now I've got actually two of the rockets. Well, hell, I guess you'd call them mongoose. And I'm going to be using those in some of these builds when I go ahead and clone these. Now what's great about cloning these is you can also go online and download the PDF files to print out the body wrap. Now this is an advantage that we did not have in, you know, the 70s and 80s when we wanted to make these, but it's relatively easy to do. In fact, I went ahead and made a few. Right here, here's the Star Trek rocket. Now, of course, it's a different fin unit altogether, so I'm going to have to trim these a little differently. But I also did one for, here's a draft I did for the proton torpedo. And this, you want to get the sizes right as well. Now, when in printing these proton torpedo stickers out, I figured, you know, why waste the ones that didn't come out exactly the way I wanted them to. So I took one of my other rockets, which was the Darth Vader TIE Fighter, which basically is a plastic model rocket which has a launch probe in front. But since the launch probe itself is the same diameter body tube, I went ahead and used one of the first draft proton torpedo decals and put that on this rocket, just basically keeping up with the theme. We got a little twofer here, and of course this is the classic design, and this is one of the newer models that came out later, but I just thought it looked neat. And then it occurred to me that, you know, hey, wait a minute, the TIE fighters in the movie used green lasers, so I figured why not, since I had the parts, reprint one in green. And you know what, you gotta love Photoshop. And this is another misprint I did. It reduced itself just a little bit, so this is on the back where you can't see it, and I put the Imperial symbol there instead of what they had, like a little target on that one, which again got me thinking, since I'm, you know, going to be, it's easy to play around with Photoshop and everything and testing those. What are some other designs I can go with? And I printed out another one using, you know, like the Rebel symbols on there. And I went back to the one with the green and I redid the Imperial symbol and the Star Wars artwork. So, I mean, there's just so much potential you can do. Now, I know a lot of people who clone rockets want to stick with a classic theme. But, you know, if you've got more than one, you might as well get a little bit creative with it. Now, in the process of cloning the Star Trek rocket, which is going to be my next project because I basically have the parts and the ability, I actually have one of my older ones. This is just a beat-up version of some parts I had left over. And you can see this rocket was toast. I don't really remember what happened to this one. I think years ago I got this rocket. I figured I was going to try and copy it, and it just did not work out for me. But with the reprint, again, it's not as glossy, the color's a bit off, and this was basically just a test, but I want to keep this one so I can compare the colors. I'll paint this with a gloss coat, which will make the colors pop a bit more. But you just get some adhesive paper. You can also print this on photo paper to get the glossy look to it, and just glue that to the tube, basically sanding down the tube to make the glue adhere a bit better, but that can be done as well. And I also brought this out. This was another fin unit. I forget which rocket this was to, maybe a proton torpedo, or maybe the Cadet, which had a black fin unit. But you can see the two styles right there. The newer one, this is from a Mongoose, has the flat bottom, and this has more tapered on both sides as well. But they're pretty much the same size. So in a cloning situation, it's not going to be an exact match, but it's something you can work with. And of course, the Mongoose nose cone for a clone of this rocket, it'll work at a distance. It's nostalgic. It's pretty nice. You know, if you do a launch with some of the I guess more vintage Rocketeers out there, they'll take a look at that, and they'll look twice at it, and they'll appreciate the effort. But anyway, this is the project. I'll go ahead and I'm just going to get to work on that Star Trek rocket clone. See how it works out. Either way, it'll be a fun build and a fun launch. And let me know in the comments below what you think of this, and if you've ever built any of these style clones yourself. Okay, well, I will be back, and I will be showing off a Star Trek rocket clone. And I am back with the Star Trek rocket clone that I'm finally completed. I actually took an extra day on this to go ahead and paint the launch lug yellow. It was originally white, and it just kind of stood out a bit, and I just figured I'd paint that yellow. A couple things about the rocket. There was actually an overlap where it was supposed to cover up this text right here. However, the adhesive paper was a bit thick, so I actually trimmed it a bit up edge to edge. It actually wraps a bit better, and it adheres to the tube better than the paper adhered to itself. Now, the difference between this and the original, of course, is it's a bit more, the colors aren't as bright as they are on the original sticker, the body wrap sticker. I'm limited to what my printer prints out. I'm sure if I actually had a nicer printer, a laser printer or something, the colors would be a little more brilliant. But this is more of an experiment just to see if I could do it. The Mongoose nose cone and tail section turned out really nice. Of course, I had to clip the fin decals because they're not tapered on the bottom, they're just flat. So I basically just made a stencil of the fin unit and then used a razor knife to cut those. And they fit pretty nice. One thing, however, there are only 4 stickers that actually, I believe, came with the original as well. So I'll probably print out 4 more for the other fins. And another thing that I kind of noticed, I hadn't noticed this before, but the artwork on the box does not match the actual body wrap artwork. I don't know if you could see it there, but here you have Kirk's picture right there, and on this you actually have the crew, and Kirk's on the other side, unfortunately right next to the launch lug there. And the letters aren't as big towards the top. It just, you know, it doesn't match exactly, and that's not a real big problem. In fact, from what I understand, as I mentioned earlier, this was originally supposed to be a purple rocket, which actually might be a fun clone in itself. And the good thing about when you do a clone, you could actually make a few changes on it if you wish. Sorry, I'm just wandering off camera there. But anyway, this is it. It's a nice little addition to my collection. It'll be fun to take it to the launch and see if anyone recognizes it or wonders if it's an original. Of course, I won't lie to them. I'll be straight up and say, no, it's a clone. Here's what I did. And here you go. I'll probably also be making clones of the proton torpedo in this configuration, as well as the Cadet and the Dune rocket. You know, just have them all side by side. I think that'd be a real neat display. But here we go with the Star Trek rocket. And again, I made this out of Mongoose, Estes Mongoose parts. All right. Thank you very much.